Welcome to our video lesson on the divisibility rules. To start, I need you to write down this sentence. At the top of page 15, above where you've glued our handout, you're going to write, a number is divisible by another number if it can be divided evenly with no remainder, and highlight the word divisible. Click pause until you finish that, and then click play to continue. Alright, we are going to start with the divisibility rule for 2. A number is divisible by 2 if the last digit it has is an even number. An example of this is 62. The 2, underline that, the 2 is even, so we know it is divisible by 2. A non-example, or an example of a number that is not divisible by 2, would be 63, because the last digit is odd. That's it for our divisibility rule with 2. Let's move on to 3. 3 is a little bit more complicated, but it's actually my favorite one. If the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So, let's do an example. My example is going 168. Now it says the sum of the digits. What that means is you add each number together. So we're going to take 1 plus 6 plus 8. And 1 plus 6 gives 7, and 7 plus 8 gives 15. Now we have to see, is 15 divisible by 3? That means, can we divide 15 by 3 without a remainder? And 15 divided by 3 gives us 5 evenly. And that means that, yes, 168 is divisible by 3. All right, let's do a non-example now. I'm going to write it down below because it's hard for me to write it to fit in the box, but you should write yours in the box, please. Our example is 3,421. Is that divisible by 3? Well, let's check. We're going to add 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. 3 plus 4 gives 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 1 more is equal to 10. Now, is 10 divisible by 3? Well, 3 can go into 10 3 times, but we get a remainder of 1, because it would be 3 times 3 is 9, and we have 1 left over. So that means that 3,421 is not evenly divisible by 3. All right, let's go on to the next one. 4. If the last 2 digits make a number that is divisible by 4, then the number is divisible by 4. Let's do our example of 316. And I'm going to do the work down here, but yours should go in the box. So the last two digits of our number are 16. And is 16 divisible by 4 without a remainder? 16 divided by 4 gives us 4. Which means we are good to go, and 316 is divisible by 4. All right, for our non-example, let's try 310. I'm going to do the work down here, but you should put yours in the box, please. All right, so we look at the last 2 digits, which are 10. Can we divide 10 evenly by 4? Well, 10 divided by 4 would be 2 with a remainder of 2. If you want to check it, you can always do your long division on the side. 4 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtraction, get it 2. So that's my 2 remainder 2. So that means that 310 is not divisible by 4. Right, the next one is 5. 5 is a pretty straightforward one. If the last digit is a 5 or a 0, then it's divisible by 5. An example, 195, because it ends in 5. A non-example, 194. Because it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. 6 is pretty cool too. Let's take a look at it. For a number to be divisible by 6, it has to be divisible by both 2 and 3. Now, let's start with the example of 168. If you remember, this is the same example we did for 3. So we actually know that 168 is divisible by 3, but let's check again. To figure out if it's divisible by 3, we're going to add the digits together. 1 plus 6 plus 8. That's going to be 15. And remember, 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So it is divisible by 3. Now, is it divisible by 2, or is it an even number? Yes, it is an even number. So that means it is divisible by 2, and it's divisible by 3. So we are okay. And I'd write down here that it is an even number. Okay, let's do another example. Would 139 be divisible by 6? Well, let's start with 2. Is 139 divisible by 2? Is this number even? No. So that means it's automatically not divisible by 6. In order for it to be divisible by 6, it has to be divisible by both 2 and 3. All right, now 7 is a very interesting one. 7. If you can double the last digit and subtract the sum from the rest of the number and get an answer that is divisible by 7, including 0, then it is divisible by 7. This sounds really complicated, but hopefully with a few examples you'll feel a little bit better about it. For example, we're going to do 672. All right, so we have 600. I'm going to do the work down here. 672. We double the last digit. Our last digit is 2. So we're going to double it, which means multiply it by 2. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. Then it says subtract the sum from the rest of that number. So the rest of that number is 67. So what we're going to do is subtract our 4 from the 67. 67 minus 4 gives us a 3 here, and 6 minus 0 is 6. We have 63. Now the question is 63 divisible by 7? Well, 63 divided by 7 equals 9. So that means that yes, 672 is divisible by 7. Okay, let's do one more example, or non-example. Let's see if 905 is divisible by 7. So you can double the last digit. Let's start by doubling this digit. 5 times 2 is equal to 10. Then we take the sum and subtract it from the rest of our number. I'll write that up here. Which we've already dealt with the 5, so now it's 90 minus 10. 90 minus 10 gives us 80. Is 80 divisible by 7 evenly? Well, let's check. 80 divided by 7. 7 goes into 8 once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract it, get a 1, bring down that 0. How many times can 7 go into 10? They can go in 1 time. 1 times 7 gives 7, and we get a 3. So 80 divided by 7 is 11 with a remainder of 3, which tells us that 7 is not divisible, 905 is not divisible by 7. That's the hardest one. Okay, 8. If the last 3 digits form a number, they should say digits. I'm going to have to write it down below. It's not letting me write it there. Digits. That goes up here. If the last 3 digits form a number that is divisible by 8, then the number is divisible by 8. For an example, 7,120. We just need to check the last 3 digits here. Is 120 divisible by 8? Well, 8 goes into 12 once. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract that, we get a 4. Bring down the 0. How many times does 8 go into 40? 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And we subtract that and get a 0. So that means that yes, 7,120 is divisible by 8. Let's look at another one. We're going to have 216,302. All right, well, we only need to look at these last 3 digits, so we ignore the first part. Is 302 divisible by 8? How many times does 8 go into 30? 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract that, we get 6. Bring down that 2. How many times can 8 go into 62? It's 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract it and get a 6. So we have a remainder down here, which means that our number is not divisible by 8. All right, let's move on to 9. The rule for 9 should look similar. If the sum of all the digits is divisible by 9. This might remind you of the divisibility rule for 3 because it's very similar. Let's check with 549. I'll do it down here. 5 plus 4 plus 9. Well, 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 9 is 18. Is 18 divisible by 9? Gives 2, so that means yes, 549 is divisible by 9. All right, let's think about 2013. Is 2013 divisible by 9? We'll start by adding up our digits. 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 3. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 1 gives us 3, plus 3 is equal to 6. And 6 cannot evenly be divided by 9. It's smaller than 9. We're going to get a decimal answer. So that means that 2013 is not divisible by 9. All right, time for our last one. A number is divisible by 10 if it ends in a 0. It's another great one, a 0. So, for example, 1,470 is divisible by 10. However, 1,471 is not divisible by 10 because it doesn't end in a 0. That's it for our divisibility rules. If you need to go back and rewatch anything, please feel free to do so, and I'll see you later.